Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 48. It is Monday afternoon as I record this late in the afternoon, and I have a few ramblings, ponderings, contemplations that I'm going to just bring into the space, and I'm sure they'll pull together in some way. It was interesting. I woke up this morning and it's the day after a full moon. I have sometimes struggled with full moons because there's so much energy moving and I get really tired. And I felt like I had a hangover this morning, even though I hadn't had anything to drink. I was just dragging and walked my dog and then climbed back into bed, which I don't normally do. And then took my son to school, and when I came home, I had my clothes on for a run, so I knew I was going to go for a run, but it was so hot and sticky. It's really warm in Cincinnati right now, and just humid and muggy. And so I did my run, but I sort of forced my way through it. And I kept thinking back to last Monday as I was running, and how this message of allowing delightful surprises was so present. Allow the Monday to be beautiful and spacious and good, and look for all the surprises in the day. And all I could think is, I don't want to run. I'm so tired. It's so hot. How much longer do I have? Ever had one of those Monday mornings? So when I got home, I did my yoga, but it was really short. It wasn't the long yoga I usually do. And then I was debating in my yoga. I'm like, oh, all right, I'll just start my routine. I'll do everything I do on a Monday morning. And all I kept hearing in my mind was, allow a delightful surprise. Allow a delightful surprise. So I scratched all the plans for the morning. And I set myself up in this beautiful little cocoon of space in my office and pulled out my markers and my big pad of creative paper and put on music and just allowed creative energy to move through me. I put everything I was supposed to do on hold for a few hours, and it was perfect. It was absolutely beautiful, with such spaciousness. And yes, there's still work to do. Yes, it will all get done as it's meant to. But that pause in my morning to, much like we would after a hangover, to allow my body to recover, to allow my mind, body, spirit to just come back into balance, come back into harmony, prepare for the week ahead, integrate all that expanded over the weekend. There's so much energy that is moving on our planet, and when we push and force ourselves to just keep going, get everything done, move through the list, that energy of forcing, it's exhausting. And even more so when it's amplified by all the energy that's moving. So here it is, the end of the afternoon. And yes, I'm doing the work that I had on my list, and yes, it will all get done, and it's perfect. It's perfect. When I was sketching and drawing this morning, I was feeling our connection to the sun. And so the topic or theme that I feel like will come forward, the way some of these pieces will weave together, is about the power of the sun, the strength of the sun, my belief that the sun is the source of all energy. And as such, it's the source of all creation. It's the source of all life force. It's the source of all light. It's the original of the original sparks of light that created the universe. It all originates with the sun. And that is validated by the way that Earth, Gaia, rotates around the sun. Our energetic field, our atmosphere, our solar, that's not the right word, our existence as a planet, as a humanity, is based on how we revolve around the sun, and that we maintain the exact distance and pace that we have always held in our rotation in order for this planet to be viable for life. So, if all of that is true, and the sun is the source of all energy, all life, then it's worth some time to explore our individual relationship to the sun as a source of power. The reason this came through, many reasons. When I run, I'm often disturbed or upset because as I'm going on my morning run, there's all these beautiful trees, and I'm trying to see the sun in the clouds or in the sky as it's coming up when I'm running. And there are all these power lines in the neighborhood I run through. All the power lines are up in the air. And so everything is looks like cut or crisscrossed by all these power lines, electric power, not natural source power. And so that frustrates me, as I'm running, because I'm trying to see the beautiful trees, and there's all these lines in the middle of my view. Another random little thought that was coming to me earlier, I remember the phrase sundowners. For anyone who has taken care of someone who is elderly or someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, one of the conditions that often makes it difficult for someone elderly to have a easy flow through their day is that when the sun goes down, the person gets agitated. They call it sundowners because the agitation begins as the sun drops at the end of the afternoon. So 4 to 6 o'clock around then is when this agitation seems to take on strength. And so I was pondering that as I was sketching. It seems like our bodies physically crave that light and that source of power through the sun, and when that goes away and we don't have knowledge or the information in our minds to realize it's going to come back the next morning, or there are light switches we can turn on that create artificial light, when some of that knowing is gone from our human existence, which is what happens with dementia or Alzheimer's, we forget the basics. Some of the basic functions of how to survive or live. When we forget that, the agitation picks up. When is the source returning? When are we going to feel that connection to source, to light, to sun again? When do we feel the warmth of the sun? Is the light gone? Is it coming back? Some of these questions bring agitation to an elderly person who doesn't have the answers. So, the other piece, again, all these little pieces. I normally do my meditation inside. I do a 30-minute, what's called Kirtan Kriya. It's the Satanama meditation, and you press against your fingertips in a specific pattern and chant Satanama in a specific pattern for 30 minutes. And it rewires the pathways in the brain. It's actually tentatively being called a therapy form or a preventative step for Alzheimer's, so that you're actively keeping the neurons engaged in the brain, the activity of the brain. I normally do that meditation in my bath, and It's beautiful and peaceful, and I have my salt water, and I clear a lot of gunky energy that I hold in my work. Today, because my day was spacious and I changed my routine, it was about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock before I was ready to do that meditation. So I decided to sit outside in the top step of the pool and feel the sunlight coming in as I was doing that meditation. And as always happens, when you clear the mind, clear energy, there's room for new awarenesses to come in. And so I was sitting with all the sunlight pouring into my crown chakra, hitting my skin, warming me up, feeling all of that light hitting the water, activating the water that was powered up as I was sitting in it. All the sounds coming out of my mouth and this chant going out into the energy field around me. Just this beautiful magic of light and sound and water, and then the human body sitting in the middle. The co-creator, nature and source and human. And it was just this magical moment where what I realized, what I offer as a suggestion for all of us to ponder, is that we can absorb this light from source. We can power ourselves up consciously. We can sit in the sun for 20 or 30 minutes and soak up all of that power, pull it in, just like solar panels when they pull in all of that power, and then you don't need the electricity to operate your house. We can pull all of that energy into our human bodies and then anchor that in, keep it as a resource inside of our physical bodies, so that when we're low on energy, or when the sun goes down and it becomes dark, our bodies don't go through that adjustment period, that sundowners time where we're trying to recalibrate and remember, is the light coming back? Where will it be back? When we're consciously pulling power from the sun, from source, into our bodies, and then just gently storing it. It's available as a resource in those times when we're starting to feel depleted. It's much like photosynthesis with plants. They absorb the sunlight and then use it as a chemical within the plant itself to heal our planet. It's the same for us as humans. We've just forgotten, or we're too busy, or there isn't time to sit in the sun. Our access to the power of the sun is more readily available and in higher doses than ever before. The power of the sun, scientists talk about this so often, the power of the sun is so intense right now that you don't need a lot of sunshine coming in to your body in order for all of that activation of energy inside to happen. You don't have to lay out in the sun for 2, 3, 4 hours to power up. You can sit out in the sun for 20 minutes and store up everything you need for days. It's just the choice to get into the sunshine and then to allow it to be absorbed into our bodies. So I share these ramblings with you and allow whatever nuggets want to land to do so. Allow you to take my ponderings and ponder some more on your own, and then perhaps begin to experiment. Sit in the sun, visualize all of that power source coming into your body. Imagine yourself as a little battery or a big battery, and you're just charging yourself up, much like we do with our phones at night when we go to bed and we plug them in and let them charge all night. Do the same for your physical body, but during the day with the sunlight. And then see what your energy feels like. Tap into your creative potential. Let it be easy. Thank you for tuning in to today's vibration. Let's take this message of pure love out into all of our communities and continue expanding love here on Gaia. So much love from my heart to yours.